Yo, what's up, guys? What is up? How's everybody doing out there? Hopefully, you guys are having a great day today. We're going here in just a sec. Make sure all the settings are good. All right. See what's going on today. A lot of new news and stuff, mostly focused around Epstein and all that, which we'll get there. But I wanted to check out this first. Just came out a little bit ago, said new revelations emerge on Trump shooter.
Man who attempted to assassinate President Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. The White House says Americans need to know what happened, and so does the president.
There are so many questions out there. And I mean, did he act alone, et cetera? And it's over a year, it's 16 months now.
For sure.
So,
yeah, I mean, those questions are definitely deserving of answers, and I understand why the public wants those answers, and I believe the president does too.
Alexis McAdams live in our New York City newsroom with the very latest on all of this. Alexis?
Hi, John. Yeah, if you can believe it, it's been a year and a half since the president was shot there in Butler. And Thomas Crook's internet history was full of red flags, according to the New York Post. A source saying he posted under his own name about shooting and killing politicians long before investigators say he shot President Trump that day. But the former FBI deputy director didn't say anything about the negative post Crooks wrote about President Trump when he testified in front of Congress. Watch this.
There were over 700 comments posted from this account. Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature.
But listen to this. According to the Post source, Crook's online comments show he flipped from pro-Trump to anti-Trump pretty quickly. So he wrote back in 2020 or 2019 rather that Trump was the literal definition of patriotism. But then just months later, he slammed Trump's supporters, saying they are, quote, too brainwashed to realize how dumb they are. Overall, his online posts show he had an obsession with assassinations, no matter how you slice it, typing up at one point, in my opinion, the only way to fight the government is with terrorism-style attacks. Sneak a bomb into an essential building and set it off before anyone sees you. Track down any important people like politicians, military leaders, etc., and try to assassinate them. Those posts reportedly were flagged by other users, John, who actually mentioned the police in their comments.
You would think somebody should have been looking into that.
Did the feds ever follow up here? The New York Post source uncovering also new videos of Crooks practicing his shot. That would-be assassin was dry firing the handgun inside of his bedroom in his parents' house out near Pittsburgh. He has that Marvel thing, too, also on the wall behind him. FBI Director Kash Patel did release a statement saying Crooks planned and conducted this attack alone. But again today, more growing calls for a new investigation into the Butler shooting, including from the widow of court comparator who was killed, saying, let's just start.
See, like, I get with the Charlie Kirk stuff because they have an open trial. Right. There's a lot of questions there, too. Don't get me wrong. But hopefully we'll learn about that stuff when the trial happens and then everything becomes public record. But with the Trump assassination, like, the guy's dead. So why aren't they releasing this information? Like, I don't get why we have to wait for, Tucker Carlson to put stuff out, why we're not getting stuff right from the source, right from the FBI and Secret Service.
Over and look into this even more, John.
I mean, it really is striking how much was actually out there compared to what we were told about all this. Alexis McAdams, who's been following the story literally since the moment it happened. Thank you, Alexis. Let's bring in former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo. So we've been led to believe, John, that Thomas Crooks was basically a ghost without any significant online presence. Here's what the FBI director told us last year.
In terms of what we've been able to find so far, a lot of the usual repositories of information have not yielded anything
I mean, what young guy
notable in terms
doesn't
of
have any
motive,
online presence? It's
or
so
like
weird.
ideology.
And now we learn a completely different story. I mean, can you wrap your head around why we weren't told about this a long time ago?
John, it's amazing that the FBI missed all this. As your report suggested, this is all out on social media. This is available for people to see. The FBI should be pouring extra resources into this kind of case, not just because someone tried to kill a presidential candidate, that's bad enough, but we're living in a time of increasing political violence. This is also during the time when we had...
I don't think they missed it. They had to have had it. It's just, why don't they want to release it? Like, why did they lie and say that he has no online presence? That's what doesn't make sense. I don't think they just missed his online presence. I'm pretty sure the people working at the FBI can do as much research as like the average person to look up social media accounts.
Had another assassination attempt on President Trump. We had an assassination attempt on a Supreme Court justice just before that. And we had the murder of Charlie Kirk after this. So I think the FBI should be pouring more resources, not less, into trying to stamp out this kind of rising political violence that threatens democracy and that is threatening our elections and our electoral process.
Yeah, as Alexis McAdams was pointing out, there was a dramatic turnaround in Crooks. He went from Trump supporter to rabid anti-Trump opponent. Here's what Miranda Devine said about that change.
He was pro-Trump. And then in January of 2020, he flipped 180 degrees. Something happened to make him become rabidly anti-Trump. And then suddenly something happened in August of 2020 and he just disappeared online. Very unusual. And then, of course, in July of 2024, he fired off 8 shots from a rooftop at Donald Trump.
So you heard Director Wray, then FBI Director Wray, saying nothing in terms of motive or ideology. I mean, it seemed pretty clear there's a lot out there in terms of motive and ideology.
Sounds like the FBI should be hiring Miranda Devine as one of the investigators because she's getting more to the heart of it than the nation's premier law enforcement agency. If Miranda can find these things online, then the FBI should have had this.
Once again, I don't doubt that they found it. It's just they're not telling us about it.
And what we're seeing with lack of competence in the FBI, growing public distrust in the FBI, and maybe this is an opportunity for Congress to step in, have its own hearings. As you said, some people have said we should have another second investigation. That's the kind of thing Congress could do. Let Congress interview these witnesses, put this social media up, and do it in a way that the American people are going to trust, because it seems like we can't rely on the FBI to get to the bottom of these things anymore.
John, I want to ask you about the vote that's coming up in Congress, maybe in the next hour or so, on the release of the Epstein files. It has come to light that delegate from the Virgin Islands, Stacey Plaskett, was having an ongoing live text messaging fest with Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing in 2019, February, in which Michael Cohen was the witness. This occurred just 4 months before Epstein was arrested on sex trafficking charges. Watch this montage of the timeline as it unfolds in front of you.
Reduce his real estate taxes. I'm sharing with you 2 newspaper articles, side by side, that are examples of Mr. Trump inflating and deflating his assets, as I said, to suit his finance testimony. As I noted, I'm giving the committee to
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Is Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's
I don't know what they're getting at here, but looks like the Senate did vote to release the Epstein files. Let's see, when is this one from? Oh, this is from 8 hours ago. This is too old. Well, this is kind of interesting. It says DOJ announces new charges for ex-Olympians.
to do right now is actually head out to this press conference with Attorney General Pam Bondi as well as FBI Director Kash Patel. It looks like it is getting underway.
Is proud to announce new developments in our ongoing investigation into Ryan James Wedding. Wedding is the former Olympian from Canada who is now the leader of a transnational criminal enterprise. He's currently on the FBI's and has been top 10 most wanted list. He controls one of the most prolific and violent drug trafficking organizations in this world.
Crazy.
He is currently the largest distributor of cocaine in Canada. Wedding collaborates closely with the Sinaloa cartel, a foreign terrorist organization, to flood not
I guess
only
it's not
American,
a nice day for a
but
white
also
wedding.
Canadian communities with cocaine coming from Colombia. His organization is responsible for importing approximately 60 metric tons of cocaine a year into Los Angeles via semi-trucks from Mexico. To put that in perspective, 60 metric tons is approximately the weight of 40 standard cars. Imagine that. That's how much cocaine, the weight of 40 cars, he is bringing into our country a year. In the course of the investigation, more than 35 individuals have been indicted. Over 2,000 kilos and numerous weapons have been seized. Approximately $3.2 million in cryptocurrency has been recovered, and over $13 million in physical assets has been confiscated.
Wow.
Wedding is also accused of murdering a federal witness after he was indicted in 2024. He used a Canadian website called The Dirty News to post photographs of the witness and his wife in order to locate him, which ultimately succeeded. The witness was gunned down in a restaurant in Medellin before he could testify against Wedding. Today, we're unsealing a new indictment, charging Wedding with 2 additional counts of witness tampering and intimidation, murder, money laundering, and drug trafficking. The website that was used to hunt down this witness and his wife, that has since been removed. That has been deleted. Protecting federal witnesses from retaliation is core to the department's mission. It's about individual safety, but more, it's about protecting the rule of law itself.
Sure.
The new indictment also includes several other individuals involved in the murder of the witness and other crimes in connection with this criminal enterprise. You're going to be hearing more about that from the people behind me. We're working very closely with our partners at the State Department and the Department of Treasury. The State Department has raised the reward for...
That's kind of crazy. That dude did all that. I thought I had a video. Yeah, here. This is them talking about Epstein, right?
New investigation by the Southern District of...
Oh, this looks like it's at the same press conference. I wonder if it...
Ryan Wedding from $10 million...
ton quantities of cocaine through Colombia and Mexico for distribution.
Got it.
And that's why it's so important that you get his picture out there. He could change his hair color.
Fugitive Ryan Wedding remains one of the top threats to Canadian public safety. And as per the previous indictment, continues to run an over $1 billion a year criminal enterprise.
Looks like a pretty normal dude.
I would also like to take the opportunity to thank everyone in the RCMP, the FBI, and U.S. Department of Justice who has spent the last 2 years and countless of hours away from their family to get the job done when it looks at Operation Giant Slalom. Thank you for your partnership and protecting Canadians, Americans, and people around the world.
Come on now, guys.
Thank you. There's one thing I wanted to add. This is an announcement, and we're up on a hard stop. We can take a few questions if you have them. But first, wait, I want, Director Patel, will you add something about his description for us, please? I don't know if we really got that he could also change his description, or Akil. Go ahead. Thanks.
We turn those around. Yeah.
Yes, let's turn these around.
Ryan Wedding is approximately 6'4" and 230 to 250 pounds. As you see in these pictures here, please understand that he might change his hair color, his appearance, and do anything to avoid capture. But someone like Ryan Wedding is going to stick out in Mexico. And that is why we're soliciting the public's help to try to identify, locate him, and arrest him. Again, there's a $15 million reward for information leading to his arrest and capture. Thank you.
Questions?
General Bondi, on topic first, it was mentioned that the Sinaloa cartel is helping to protect him. Are Mexican authorities cooperating with the U.S. and helping to secure his arrest? And I also have an off topic as well.
Yes. It's a short answer. Do you want to add something, Akil?
Sure. We are working with our legal attaché office housed at the embassy in Mexico City to try to locate and arrest Wedding. Again, through to significant protection by the Sinaloa cartel and others.
Looks like they go on asking questions for a bit.
And that's why it's so important that you get his picture out there. He could change his hair color. He could change his appearance. You know, he's got some powerful people protecting him. But this is $1 billion a year of drugs that he is charged with being responsible for. $1 billion. Go ahead, now, off topic.
On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ regarding what we assume President Trump will sign into law with the Epstein files? Is this going to be on the Justice Department website? What are you doing here over the next 30 days as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
To that. Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come forward. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
Wedding, Madam General. On Ryan Wedding, you mentioned,
Madam Attorney
Sure,
General,
Kelly.
the issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York. But you're on point. Hard stop. One more question? Sure.
President Trump has previously said that he may consider authorizing military strikes within Mexico to go after cartels. Given the importance of this case, I'm wondering if the DOD has been engaged on the search for Ryan.
Yeah, we're not going to discuss anything with the Department of War right now, but right now I will tell you it is the Treasury Department, the State Department, our office, the FBI, working with Canadian authorities and working with the Mexican authorities hand in hand. And that includes the Mexican military. You had one more on wedding.
Yes, please.
Sure.
CBC, you mentioned a Canadian lawyer. If you can tell us more about it, the extradition of a Canadian lawyer. And also a question for Commissioner Michael Duhem on 7 other individuals who are linked to Ryan Wedding. If we can tell us on the extradition, what are the next steps?
Sure. Do you want to take the Canadian? I think Bill will take the attorney because that attorney is being prosecuted in California, and then I'll turn it over to Director Duhay.
Yeah, the attorney, he's named in the indictment that was unsealed today. His name is Deepak Pardkar, Paradkar. He is a lawyer. I'll have the Canadian police commissioner provide more details. He was one of the people arrested yesterday. I understand he initially refused to come out of his home. He put up a little bit of resistance, but he was eventually taken into custody. It was very important for us to get him because when you have
All right, so we were just listening in there to the FBI and the DOJ as they were sharing this breaking news here, announcing new charges against ex-Olympian Ryan Wedding in drug ring case, offering a $15 million reward. And I want to
see, I think, let me see if there's any.
New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department. A new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files.
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ regarding what we assume President Trump will sign into law with the Epstein files? Is this going to be on the Justice Department website? What are you doing here over the next 30 days as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
Yeah. When you say follow the law, Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come forward, and we will continue to provide maximum transparency under the law.
I don't know.
Madam,
I'll believe it when I see somebody get arrested.
Madam Attorney General, the issue with the new information that you just indicated, is the department seeking information perhaps from the Epstein estate because Mr. Blanche did not have that information when he interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell? What new information, and would you limit the new investigation to just those named persons that the president talked about, or is this a broad, open-ended investigation?
I would refer to the Deputy Attorney General's post that he put out on X, and we're not going to say anything else on that because now it is a pending investigation in the Southern District of New York.
Additional information on the deal claims for. Yeah, I don't know. Implies the full unredacted files will not be released. Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we figured. Oh, this should be fun. Epstein files have ripped MAGA apart.
You wouldn't know it already?
See what CNN has to say.
Saying, well, he didn't do anything. There's no indication of criminality. If that's true, he should be elated that we're putting these things out.
If that's true, it is true. Can you name any evidence?
I would like to see the evidence. What I'm saying is...
You think after 10 years of public life, you wouldn't know it already?
No, I don't. That's exactly the point.
Oh, my goodness.
Scott,
this
Scott,
is how I feel. Don't fail it. Come on, man.
Scott,
10 years Donald Trump has been in public life.
That's embarrassing.
Come on.
Scott, it is an IQ test. I mean, for 10 years, we haven't heard any names. So you really think that no one's involved?
No, obviously, Larry Summers was involved, Stacey Platt was involved.
We have heard a lot of names.
You're suggesting that if
Clinton went to the island 20-something times, you know.
I feel like I just heard Scott call into question this black man's intelligence with the IQ test.
That's what
I feel like I heard that. And so I just want to say something. This is what
it's ridiculous.
Can't call a black man stupid,
go ahead, but it's
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, I think that.
By the way, we know each other and we're friends.
He could be a stupid white man too.
He's a smart guy, and we're having a debate. We're having a debate. Don't make it into so. We don't even know each other, but we do.
This actually relates back to the topic that we're having, Scott. There is a you're sitting here with so much confidence without seeing all of the documents that Donald Trump is innocent. There is a presumption of guilt that a black man walks around the United States with, that I have been watching Donald Trump navigate this situation with the presumption of innocence that is never afforded to us, right? This is the same guy that is trailing 29 rape allegations. And we have videos of him saying things like, grab him by the you-know-what. Just the very fact that he's connected to the country's most egregious pedophile, enough. That fact alone is enough for us to ask questions about if it's a disqualifying factor for leadership. So I just don't know why you're so fervent right now saying that I know for a fact he has nothing. Can we see the files and make that decision? Scott?
Look, here's what I think. It's been going on for 10 years. If there was a shred of anything to know about Donald Trump, we would already know it. What do we know? We know.
You don't think Biden would have put that out on day one? Come on.
We know that Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, and we know that he excommunicated him from Mar-a-Lago and his life. We also know that after Epstein was convicted, that powerful Democrats continued to stay in touch with Jeffrey Epstein. This is not a story about Trump. It is a story about powerful men. Many of them are in the Democratic Party. We're going to find that out. You can't wash away the politics.
We got to hit pause on this conversation.
Republican versus Democrat.
That's because every Democrat goes on TV and accuses Trump of having done something
any of these files, by the way.
Yeah, people aren't too happy with Clay Higgins there voting no.
Scott, you keep saying, well, he.
All right, let's see what else we got going on. Trump's action files lead us to ask more questions. House and Senate. So the Senate
legislation
did push
forcing the Justice Department to publicly release its files of the late financier and convicted sexual abuser Jeffrey Epstein could be on President Trump's desk very soon. The House passed the measure this morning, and a short time ago, the Senate agreed to approve it by unanimous consent. Senior national correspondent Aisha Husney has the details. She's on Capitol Hill for us. Good evening, Aisha.
John, good evening to you. And it was Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer who asked for unanimous consent, which fast tracks everything, doesn't require a vote. And no senator objected, which means that the Senate has now synced up with the House. And so as soon as the House releases this bill text,
Trump said go ahead and do it.
The president will then sign it. John? Excuse me.
Tonight, the House passed a bill 427-1, compelling the Justice Department to release all files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Republican Congressman Clay Higgins, the only no vote, claiming on X that the bill's broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt.
And I don't really disagree with him, but at this point, I mean, people aren't going to shut up until they're out there.
Justice delayed is justice denied. It could be just another delay tactic.
Is that what you think? That's the motivation from the Speaker?
I think the Speaker wants to save face.
The fight over the Epstein files runs far deeper. Many Republicans claim Democrats are politicizing this investigation to harm President Trump, and they wonder why now.
To those who say that Biden should have released these files, let me just address that right now. You're right. He should have. He's not the president right now. Donald Trump is.
But he was for 4 years, bro.
Democrats who
like, you guys ignore him for 4 years, and then as soon as Trump's in, he's hiding him. He won't release him because he's in him. Like, Biden could have done it for 4 years.
After
like,
emails and text
how do you not
messages
understand that point?
Summers,
That's crazy.
a married man, was seeking advice from Epstein on how to pursue someone he described as a female mentee. It happened between 2018 and 2019, 10 years after Epstein first pled guilty to soliciting a minor. Congress may not be united on the Epstein bill today, but dozens of survivors are. The brother of Virginia Roberts Giuffre in tears.
Well, Sissy, you didn't just make a small dent. You made a monumental impact.
And John, in 2 days' time, the House will take a vote on whether or not to censure Delegate Stacey Plaskett and remove her from the Intel Committee over text messages that she was exchanging with Jeffrey Epstein during a congressional hearing where he was feeding her information that she was using.
That's the brother of the woman that, by the way, said in a CNN interview that she never saw Trump around any of the girls or do anything unsavory.
Yeah, this came down from a three-judge panel in Texas, and they basically ruled that Republicans there cannot use those newly redrawn maps in next year's midterm elections. The U.S. District Judge Jeffrey Brown, who actually was nominated by President Trump, authored this decision and said that the new maps would harm Black and Hispanic voters. And as you know, John, the Texas redrawing set off a nationwide redistricting battle, with California passing a ballot measure to give Democrats more seats. So this may actually take some pressure off other states like Indiana that were perhaps next in line to redraw their maps. John.
And we'll find out if it doesn't work in Texas. Maybe it doesn't work in California either. More to come on that. Aisha, thank you.
You got it.
I think the Republicans lose more in California than they gained in Texas. They only gained a couple seats, like 1 or 2 seats in Texas. Still gave the Democrats several seats, and then in California, the Democrats pretty much wrote it out to where they get nothing. I kind of want to watch a little of this. Let's see. It says the investment summit with Saudi Arabia just happened. See if anything worthwhile came up.
And it's great to be here today at the U.S.-Saudi Investment Forum. Great group of people. The biggest, you got the biggest in the room. But some of the most talented, maybe most importantly, the word talent, successful and innovative business leaders anywhere on the planet. Whether you have come from near or far, we're delighted to have you invest right here in the hottest country anywhere in the world. Every leader is saying the United States we're the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way too. But this has been, according to those that seem to say it, and I will say it, I would never say a thing like that because I want to be very modest. I always want to be modest as I can. They say this has been the best 9 months that any president has ever had. I'd say that's pretty good, right? But we've had a great 9 months.
So modest.
Now we have to do it more than a few more times. We just have to keep it going. We'll keep it going. I want to thank my friend, a great gentleman, Crown Prince Mohammed of Saudi Arabia, for his bold leadership and deep commitment to the ties between our two countries. Thank you. Thank you. Great gentleman. Yesterday, we had a phenomenal visit at the White House celebrating the 80-year bond between the United States and Saudi Arabia. We ended with an unbelievable show last night in a room that was far too small, but the next time you're here, you'll have a much bigger room. It's gonna be much bigger. I made more enemies last night by we had 119 people. That was a record for the room. So they've wanted for 150 years. They've been clamoring for a ballroom at the White House, and we're giving them one. We're giving them one plus. and it'll be something. But you'll be here. You'll be among the first, if not the first, if you'd like. We'll work it out. But you had a lot of people that wanted to be there. They really would have witnessed something that was really incredible. The entertainment last night was incredible, including our great opera singer, but including the military. The talent and the military musically is also incredible. So it was great to be with you last night. I think it was something to behold. We officially designated the kingdom yesterday as the major non-NATO ally. That's a big deal. That's actually a very big deal. It's a great honor. That happens seldom, very seldom, if at all. So I just want to congratulate you on that. That's a sign of trust. We signed a historic strategic defense agreement yesterday also, and that's something that is likewise very rare, and it's a very honored company that you're in. And we're going to be selling Saudi Arabia some of the greatest military equipment ever built. We build the best military equipment in the world by far. That's why we do the most business, including nearly 300 American-made tanks, is what you're buying, among many other things, the airplanes, and we're working on getting that approved very quickly. It's already approved, but don't worry. We have to go through a process. The process will take, Elon knows, the process will take about, would you say 24 hours? I think so.
Jeez,
You're
Trump
in good
talks for
shape.
an hour plus.
Very good shape.
All right, I don't know if I'm ready for that right now.
What's the?
That's kind of interesting though. Benny Johnson put out a video. Says the dark late night Republican Epstein vote betrayal.
Stuff. Not to try it. I'm not gonna try it. You try it. I'm not gonna try it. Let's get Mikey. Yeah. He won't need it. He hates everything. He likes it.
You're the only one who has to know.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tim Burchett have gone viral over the last 24 hours with videos that should disgust you and disgust the conscience of the American people, showing full-scale uniparty corruption that is indefensible. Indefensible. And so while I want to talk about the Clintons and how the Clintons are going to, get DOJ referrals for their arrests, just like Steve Bannon did, I want to begin by saying that the problem and the rot runs so very deep in our nation and in our politics, and both parties are to blame. The problems that we face here in this country, both parties are to blame. And whether you like it or not, there were generations that just kind of like allowed these things to happen, whether it's Roe v. Wade, the murder of JFK, the total inability for young people to afford homes, 150 million new immigrants to this land, totally changing the culture and fabric of America. Many people brought into this country legally. I mean, legal immigration, I think, is actually worse than illegal immigration, quite frankly. If you are bringing people into this nation that hate this nation and are incompatible with our Constitution and the morals of this country, well, isn't that worse? At least if they're illegal, you can send them home.
Preach.
But if you bring them here legally and they still hate this country, they hate Christendom, they hate freedom, they want Marxism or a caliphate here, isn't that actually more pernicious? And that was done.
Yeah, this makes me think, I remember, wasn't there, I remember when I was growing up, they used to talk about how hard, the citizenship test was, and now everyone just gets around that. They don't have to show any loyalty to the U.S. or any knowledge on our policies or procedures because they just get H-1B or whatever. It's kind of crazy.
Done by both parties. All of our leaders did that. And then they collude in order to protect themselves. And that's what happened last night. I'm going to let Tim Burchett explain here. Tim Burchett explained why the Stacey Plaskett vote to censure her failed. And Stacey Plaskett, as we've covered, is this, sick little venomous witch from the Virgin Islands. Virgin Islands is just a really shady American territory where a ton of money laundering goes on, a ton of multinational corporations, sex trafficking. There's like horrible criminal underbelly. Because it is sort of this principality way out in the middle of the Caribbean, it can be used in order to just funnel tons of evil through it. Stacey Plaskett represents it. Stacey Plaskett was a representative for Jeffrey Epstein, and she was caught dead to rights, texting the pedophile in order to try and get good questions to ask Donald Trump during hearing. So Stacey Plaskett was caught doing this. So what are the charges before her? Stacey Plaskett was, at the very least, in bed with a pedophile. She was, at the very least, speaking with and coordinating with a known pederast in order to try and get Trump. Which, this is what's become very clear about these Epstein files, is that Epstein hated Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's
and
what I was saying
engaging
yesterday.
in a full-scale operation to try and destroy him by proxy. By proximity to his knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein, just by the fact that Jeffrey Epstein went to his parties, you can see how the entire op worked here. Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile by design. What do I mean by that? God, make him a pedophile? No, of course not. If so, then you need to get down on your knees and pray for redemption, right? And have you need to pray for Christ's healing. We all do. But what happened with Jeffrey Epstein was that it's become really clear that Jeffrey Epstein was living out this debaucherous, truly demonic life in order to be so obscene that he could, by association, destroy people.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So Jeffrey Epstein's become this moniker for pedophile. And just by knowing Jeffrey Epstein, you'll be destroyed. That's happening right now with a guy named Larry Summers. He was the president of Harvard. And so just by Larry Summers being close with Jeffrey Epstein now, he's had to step down from all these boards. He's had to quit all of his jobs.
More
he's
and
gone
more
into
that's
hiding.
going to happen too.
He's
with the
retreating.
release of the files.
And that's what the op was intended to do. Donald Trump didn't need to and did not, partake in any of the moral degeneracies or evils of Jeffrey Epstein and what he was offering. That's just a matter of record, okay, according to the victims and according to all available evidence. But just by simply knowing Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump has been smeared. That's what the hoax is. But there are people that were actually using the pedophile for money, for power, and texting with them on a regular basis. One of them was Hakeem Jeffries, who's the leader of the Democrats right now, and Hakeem Jeffries was on bended knee begging Jeffrey Epstein for money and contacts and relationships and so on, framing himself up as the Brooklyn Obama. That's what they call Hakeem Jeffries in these emails. It's disgusting. And so Stacey Plaskett was the representative of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, she's not from a real place. The Virgin Islands, not a state. The Virgin Islands are simply an American territory, and she is a non-voting member. So you have to ask yourself the question, why is this non-voting member? So meaning she's there to be a representative, but because she's not representing a state, she can't actually vote. She's not allowed to vote on the House floor. She's not allowed to vote. But she's on all these powerful committees. Why the hell is that? Well, of course we know why. Because she controls an insane amount of Chinese money laundering, foreign international money laundering all through the Virgin Islands. She controls pedos like Jeffrey Epstein, or gets marching orders from pedos like Jeffrey Epstein. This is what Stacey Plaskett does, and this is what she did, and she did it on camera. There's video evidence of her doing this. How dare you run with this, right? But where'd you get this from? Alex Jones, InfoWars, Breitbart? Where'd it come from? It's the Washington Post, jackass. That's where it came from. It's the Washington Post. They're the ones who nailed her dead to rights. They're the ones who figured this out. Amazing. A pedo would text her, and then she'd say the thing the pedo says to say in order to get Trump. It's insane. It's crazy.
It's pretty disgusting,
yes,
honestly.
the Democrat Party is getting hit hard over all of this. And what should happen to Stacey Plaskett is she
you
should be
wouldn't know
removed from all of
watching
her
the
committees.
mainstream news. You would think it's
Stacey Plaskett,
all exposing
because
Donald
she's doing
Trump.
this, because like that's indefensible, obviously. Far more coordination than Donald Trump ever had with Jeffrey Epstein, right? Like, are there texts to prove that Donald Trump was like texting pedo Jeffrey Epstein while he was giving the State of the Union speech? You know, whatever, or writing policy? Of course not. If there was, then I would have to denounce that. Obviously, it is indefensible.
Yep.
So Stacey Plaskett had a vote last night on the House floor to censure her, and that censure would have stripped her of her committee assignments. Censure's, you know, it's a bit of a slap on the wrist, but it's still, obviously, it's something you don't want to have happen to you. And if there's anybody more deserving of it, I mean, can you imagine? You can't. How do you possibly vote? How do you defend yourself when you're texting a pedo for questions asked during a congressional hearing? You can't. So she deserves to be censured. It should have been an obvious censure vote. But instead, some Republicans crossed the aisle in order to vote present or against, and the censure failed.
Unbelievable.
So our weak, limp dick, cucked totally Republican Party decided to do this. Why exactly? Here are some of the Republicans that crossed the aisle. You can see here, some of them voted no, 3 of them. David Joyce, Don Bacon, and Lance Gooden. And some voted present. And that's enough in order to flip the vote itself, and it lost by a whisker. Tim Burchett, ladies and gentlemen, explaining what exactly happened here. A deal was cut. It's not just Republican lawmakers cucking out. A deal was cut, actually, in order to prevent a Democrat vote in order to censure a Republican. Listen.
So for anybody not following along, basically what he's saying is that there's somebody, a Democratic senator who literally, because of the Epstein file releases, was seen going back and forth and getting talking points from Epstein. Epstein was coaching her on how she should handle Trump, which obviously that looks way worse than anything Trump has done with Epstein. And they had enough votes to censure her, but she was able to flip some Republicans, and so therefore she gets no punishment. She gets no punishment for doing this. Not even a slap on the wrist. She was able to convince 6 Republicans she didn't deserve a slap on the wrist. If that doesn't show you, corruption runs a lot more deeper than just the Democrats or Republicans or any particular politician. Like,
hey everybody, Tim Burchett, Late Vote Series to censor delegate Stacey Plaskett. She's the one that was received a sizable contribution from Epstein, which
and she got
is
money.
Legal. I'm not sure, but she also is the one who was texting with him during a committee hearing, getting instructions on how to better attack Trump
So
from
gross.
Epstein, sending her the text. And so she's on some pretty powerful committees, and that just tells you how corrupt this place is. But the disgusting thing about it was 4 Republicans chose not to vote. 3 Republicans voted present, and 3 Republicans voted no. So it failed. And what they did was they cut a deal. They cut a deal on an ethics vote on a Republican. And that's just wrong. Everybody ought to just stand on their own. If it were truly, we don't care whose party these sex offenders and all this other stuff are in. We're going after them. Then we start cutting deals. To me, it's really disgusting. I get disgusted about some things, but this is one that's really, really bad. You've got some people on there who are chairmen of committees and things like that. And that's the kind of people we put in leadership. It's bogus and it stinks. And the first opportunity I get to speak to our leadership, I will give them a piece of my mind, and I doubt it will go anywhere. But They're the most sewer-dwelling people, some of these folks, not all of them, but some of them are. It's just disgusting. It really is. Anyway, still, thank y'all for sending me here. We got to keep fighting. We quit, and we lose the whole deal. Remember Reagan said we're one generation away from losing our country. Folks, we're one boat series away from losing our country. We got to wake up. God's given us an incredible gift, and we're just blowing it. It won't be around for everybody. It's just for their grandkids. It might not be around for your kids. It might not make it to the end of the year. Let's take our country back, folks. Thank y'all for sitting here.
Hey, Alex, I want you to ask Kara if she can get Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tim Burchett, Anna Paulina Luna on the program, just on an emergency basis. I know we have a stacked show, but just see if they're available. I want to hear about this. This repulses me. So that video has gone viral. What's that at right now? Video's gone viral, Klein. What's it at? Yeah. So 11,000 reposts, 38,000 likes, 2,000 comments, 2,000 saves, 750,000 views, well on its way to 1 million views. Tim Burchett talking about how Republicans cut a deal in order to protect a Republican member of Congress from a censure. Marjorie Taylor Greene out this morning with this. Yesterday, after 5 ridiculous months of fighting the White House and the Speaker and Congress, there you go. Yesterday, after 5 ridiculous months of fighting the White House and the Speaker to get Congress to finally vote and release the Epstein files, a deal was made to stop the censure of Stacey Plaskett, a Democrat delegate from the territory of the U.S. Virgin Islands, which would have kicked her off the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence that oversees U.S. intelligence activities for texting with Epstein during an Oversight Committee hearing in 2019. She's on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. That means she has the highest possible classification for the U.S. government for intel. Do you understand what that means? That means that she was an operative for Epstein. Epstein was, of course, working for Mossad. He was working for other nation states. He was probably working for our own CIA. And I think that he was an equal opportunity saboteur. But that, people like Stacey Plaskett getting orders from him, that means that she's clearly leaking information to him about our national security. This is totally and completely unacceptable. Stacey Plaskett, let the Democrats hang on this vote. Stacey Plaskett deserves, all the Democrats voted against it. Okay, make the case. Argue it to the American people. Why Stacey Plaskett's innocent. It's the damn Washington Post coming out against her and proving that she's not. Republicans can't, stand together. Why was this deal made? What deal happened? 3 Republicans across the aisle voted with Democrats to stop Plaskett's censure resolution in a swap so that Democrats would not bring up a Corey Mills censure resolution for alleged physical assaults and threatening to release pornography on an ex-girlfriend and ethics violations and questionable military record. Corey Mills, these allegations are out there against Corey Mills. I'm not going to say anything more. I don't know anything about it. I do know the parties involved. As you well know, I went to Butler, for instance, with Corey Mills last year, right? We haven't booked him on the show since these allegations came out, and I'm going to let the process play out here, okay?
Yeah.
That's just all I can say, all right? But I'll tell you what, man. This is despicable. Nobody deserves to be protected. Get it out. Okay, here's what Mike Johnson had to say to me. Here we go. GOP leadership, House leadership. Get me my Mike Johnson clip immediately. We went to the House and we interviewed Mike Johnson, and he sat as far as away as I am from you right now. And by that I mean, the camera's really close to me, but whatever. You're welcome to come into the studio and watch the show anytime. I sat across from Mike Johnson. And that dude was like, this is despicable. Nobody deserves to be protected. Get it out. Okay, here's what Mike Johnson had to say to me. Here we go. About it. That concerns either testifying or testimony for Ghislaine Maxwell, potentially before Congress, or if you would support members like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Anna Paulina Luna on the release of subpoenaing the Epstein documents from the DOJ, whether you would support either of those.
Yeah, I haven't talked to Marjorie or Anna about that specific subject, but I'm for transparency. We're intellectually consistent in this. Look, Reagan used to tell us we should trust the American people. I believe in that principle. I know President Trump does as well, and I trust him. I mean, he put together a team of his choosing, and they're doing a great job. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it. I mean, the White House and the White House team are privy to facts that I don't know. I mean, this isn't my lane. I haven't been involved in that. But I agree with the sentiment that we need to put it out there. And you know, Pam Bondi, I don't know, when she originally made the statement, I think she was talking about documents, as I understood it, that were on her desk. I don't know that she was specific about a list or whatever, but she needs to come forward and explain that to everybody. I like Pam. I mean, I think she's done a good job. We need the DOJ focusing on the major priorities. So let's get this thing resolved so that they can deal with violent crime and public safety and election integrity and going after Act Blue and the things that the president is most concerned about, as we are. So I'm anxious to get this behind us.
Yeah, and I can see that because there's so many victories and there's so many wins that are happening.
We just had the most incredible 6 months.
Okay, so then he goes on to like talk about the tributaries and things that have been done. And listen, I'm happy that just voted to keep Stacey Plaskett on the Intel committee. Yes, you're paying taxes to a pedophile. They prove that we don't have a functional relationship. We have an abusive relationship. It's not too much to just ask, are we paying?
Yeah, that seems pretty disappointing. I think the rest of this is going to be kind of redundant, but
heard from.
See, we got new release about Senate Democrats criticize GOP over Epstein documents. Let's see.
Heard from Senate Democrat leadership making remarks. Let's listen into that here on Live Now from Fox.
What do we got here?
Schumer, this will be great.
Okay, thank you everybody. Good afternoon. And I'm proud to be joined by Senators Klobuchar, Merkley, and Gallego. So, yesterday the House and Senate finally agreed to pass legislation to compel Donald Trump to release the Epstein files. A few hours after it passed the House, I came to the floor and got unanimous consent for the Senate to immediately pass that bill.
Compel Donald Trump. He said he would sign it, get it passed.
That I was going to come to the floor and ask for a unanimous consent request that deemed the bills passed. And at about 5, before the first vote, and at about 10 of 5, he said he wasn't going to block it.
$50 says nothing comes out of the Epstein files except a bunch of speculative nonsense to cancel people that there's no proof
dithering
of
and dilly-dally.
any real connection.
This morning, the Senate finally received the Epstein bill. It's finally on its way to the president's desk. That's right. After months of waiting, months of Republican delay, so many failed attempts from Trump to hide the truth, the Epstein File Transparency Act is headed to the desk. It's a huge step for justice, for the brave and unrelentingly courageous victims. They were amazing. It wouldn't have happened without them. We salute them. It's also a great day for Americans, because Americans wanted to see the truth.
Chuck Schumer's such a slimy
Let's be
scumbag,
clear, though,
man.
this wouldn't have happened without Democrats like the people with me today. But we are not done. No way. Our
Like, who
promise
likes
to the
him? Who
victims
votes
and
for
to the
this guy?
American people
Like-
is this. This will not and cannot be the end of the work. We'll keep the pressure up, pressure for the president to sign, and then pressure on the DOJ to release the full, unredacted files. No hiding, no game playing, no covering up. Pressure to make sure the documents are released in their entirety and not warped by a corrupt DOJ who's hell-bent on hiding the truth, bending the law, and protecting Trump. Trump's own Justice Department that told him he was in the files. You remember this. We know he's in there. He knows he's in them. What the heck is he hiding and been hiding for so long? It's time for the truth. This bill is a command for the president to be fully transparent, come fully clean, and provide full honesty to the American people, even if he doesn't want to. And just like we did with this vote, and for months on end, Democrats will fight for full transparency, nothing less. Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much, Leader Schumer. Courtney Wild, 14 years old when she was sexually abused by Epstein. Danielle Bensky, 17 years old when Epstein sexually abused her. Her mom had a brain tumor, and he told her that he could help her mom, but only if she abided by his demands, including recruiting other girls. He told her, I can use it to help you, or I can make it really difficult for your mother.
So
As
gross.
she said recently, it's a call to action. We're standing up for so many victims of sexual assault. As a former prosecutor, I can tell you that's what this is about. It is also about trust. When Donald Trump and the Republicans promised...
See, here's the thing, though. Like, Trump marched a bunch of victims of, or families of victims of violent acts from illegal immigrant violence out and around. And that was still kind of a little bit gross, but at the same time, like, he actually did things to enact change, to bring about, you know, a situation where those type of things that happen to their family members wouldn't happen again. But like this, they're literally using these stories of these poor girls that were abused to try and get files released, which I strongly believe, and we'll see in the future if this is accurate or not, but I strongly believe that nothing is going to come of these files except a bunch of political mudslinging. There's not going to be anything damning. It's just going to be, you know, like the stuff we've already seen, like Epstein talking a bunch of shit about Trump, and then the Democrats trying to paint that like, look at how much Epstein communicated about Trump or with Trump. It's like, well, he wasn't talking to him. He was talking about him when he was the president of the United States. Like, I talk about Trump a lot too. Never met the man. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like these poor girls are being used just to, for there to be no actual justice that comes from it. Like, at least, you know, when Trump was bringing around, the families of the people that had been killed by illegal immigrants that had been, you know, caught and released multiple times by the Biden administration. Like, he turned around and put laws into effect, change laws so that these type of things wouldn't happen in the future. I think all that's going to come out is a bunch of salacious BS from these documents. There's not going to be any proof to prosecute anybody, at least not in any real big serious cases, or else they probably would have already done it. One side or the other would have done it. Biden would have done it against all the, you know, Republican elected officials and donors and friends and all of that, if there was anything in there, and Trump would have done it against all the Democratic officials and donors and stuff like that. So all that's going to come out, bunch of BS. And so it's kind of gross that she's using the victims as an example, or the victims to say like, we won this for you. And it's like, she knows nothing's going to come of it.
The American people, time and time again, whether it was about bringing down costs, not true. Whether it was about making changes that help people, not true. But whether it was about releasing these Epstein files, now we'll find out the truth. Donald Trump knew that there was overwhelming numbers of votes coming in against him, and at that moment, he made the decision that he would say that he wanted the vote to go through. At that moment, when Senator Schumer made the decision to come forward, there was no one who would stand up and say, nope, we shouldn't have them released. And I thank Senator Schumer for doing this. The House discharge petition materialized because there were the votes to override his veto. So now is the moment of truth. One, he has to sign it. But two, and most importantly, when we look at what the Attorney General of the United States, who is running a Justice Department that literally when Donald Trump orders them by Truth Social or in person to do something, they do it. Drop charges, they'll do it. Pardon their friends, they'll do it. It is literally a snap of their fingers. Make sure that you charge a Federal Reserve governor or the Attorney General of the state of New York or the former FBI director. We're there, we'll do it. That's what's been going on. So right now, we're facing a moment. Because of these faux investigations that she is now claiming are reopening, now we're going to find out, are they really going to release the files or not? And we are ready to stand up for victims like Danielle and so many others in this country.
The Epstein files have always been about full accountability for the perpetrators and justice for the victims. And Donald Trump, when he campaigned, he said, I'm going to release these files. It became increasingly clear that that wasn't going to be the case. So in July, 25 Democrats introduced the Epstein files bill. Not one Republican would co-sponsor it. 4 months ago, then 2 months ago, Leader Schumer introduced that bill as an amendment on the Defense Authorization Act. And 51 Republicans tabled it. And every Democrat said, no, let's debate it and let's pass it. That's just 2 months ago. And then here we were yesterday evening. We called for all 100 senators to join in the vision of equal justice under law, and they did. And that's a great stride forward. But it is not the finish line. Because we know that Trump is not going to release those files. We are going to press him like hell. But everything we know about Donald Trump is he will obscure and delay.
See, that's the other thing that's just going to happen. I can already see it is like, even if they release all the files, but there's nothing damning on anybody, then they're just going to be beating the drum for the next 20 years that they deleted the files. Like, the thing is so outrageous. Like, Biden had it for 4 years. Biden couldn't find anyone to prosecute, and Biden didn't release it. Trump's had him for less than a year, and they're now doing some investigations and saying they'll release the files, and he'll sign this bill. So I don't know. I really don't understand how you paint Trump out to be the evil one in that scenario.
$1.5 billion.
Where were you, Merkley, during the 4 years of Biden? I know you were there because
and his finance team led an investigation.
You support my state
with some bipartisan support. Those files provide huge information that will complement the information from the Department of Justice. Now, what happened yesterday evening was a really huge tribute to grassroots Americans from the far right, from the middle, from the left, all saying we believe that powerful men abusing and raping teenage girls should be held accountable. It's a vision throughout the political spectrum. And it was certainly a huge stride forward for the victims who so courageously stood up and shared their stories. But let's keep working toward the finish line when there will be actual accountability for the perpetrators and full justice for the victims.
Senator Gallego. Thank you. Well, today we've won the battle for justice. We won the battle for these poor women that were victimized repeatedly, both by these awful elite men, as well as the Trump administration by trying to cover up every step of the way accountability. But it's just a battle. There is still war that needs to go on. We should not be in any doubt that this president is going to take every opportunity, along with his allies, along with Attorney General Pam Bondi, to slow down, to cover up, to confuse, because at the end of the day, the truth will come out and it will hurt this administration. So I just encourage everyone that was involved from the fight from day one to make sure that we do not fall for the same traps that he's going to continue to put down. These women deserve justice. These women deserve to be treated like any other U.S. citizen, and just because it was elite men from New York City or from Mar-a-Lago or from wherever in the world, they deserve to be brought to trial and to justice just as much as anyone else. The president needs to show that he is for us and not for them, and stop trying to stop a real open investigation and a real understanding of what happened with the Epstein files. Thank you.
Okay, questions? Yes.
What's your reaction to this proposal from Health Committee Chairman Bill Cassidy to set up HSA accounts to help people afford their insurance plans?
I love how they're not,
marketplace.
Talking about any of the Democrats that are in the files.
We insist on that the ACA tax credits have to be
Trump
renewed and extended.
Get him thrown out of office.
If Cassidy's proposal, as I understand it, replaces them, looks like it's privatizing health insurance, and it looks like it's really problematic, and particularly problematic to do very quickly. Yes.
Republicans have said that Democrats have been too singularly focused on President Trump's role in the Epstein files. What would you say to that criticism, and are you equally concerned about the names of
See what you got to say, Chuck.
people that donated to Democratic causes that could pop up?
We think every name should come out, everything. There should be no cover-up.
Yeah, because you'll wheel and deal to keep them in power, just like you're already doing.
Look, the bottom line is I think there are 87 co-sponsors or sponsors, including Leader Thune and myself. We've wanted to move the bill for a long time. Hopefully it can move. Putin has to be told in every way that he cannot be just a bully and overrun Ukraine. Okay? No, you gentlemen. Yeah.
Leader Schumer, given the federal court's decision in Texas yesterday to strike down their gerrymandered maps, are you boosted by Democrats' chances nationally going into 2026?
Look, I'm boosted by Democrats' chances nationally to begin with. Why? Because the American people are on our side. The issue of health care has been a dramatic cleavage between Democrats fighting to prevent these premiums from going up and Republicans standing in the way. Even we've seen this over and over again. The American people know we're on their side. They know the Republicans are opposing them, and that's going to serve us very well in 2026. Thank you.
All right, as you see there, wanted to play that out from just about an hour or so ago as Democratic senators there were speaking on the releasing of the Epstein files, talking about the fact that the bill is now going to head to the desk of President Trump. And so we wanted to bring that to you here on Live Now from Vox. They weren't.
We are listening in here.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I wish something would come of the whole Epstein thing, but I don't think it's going to at this point. It's too bad. So is this...
What purpose? Gentleman from South Carolina, seek recognition.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A1 of Rule 9,
I'm assuming this is the censure vote that Republicans made a deal on.
rise to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows: censuring Representative Corey Mills of Florida and removing him from the Committee on Armed Services and the Committee on Foreign Affairs. Whereas prior to serving in the House of Representatives, Representative Corey Mills founded Paysum Solutions International, LLC, and Paysum Defense, LLC, and acquired Amtech Corporation, now renamed as ALS, Inc., companies which engage in security and military contracting with the United States government as well as foreign nations.
Whereas in August 2024, the Office of Congressional Conduct found from January 2023 to present, Paysum Defense, ALS, has been actively contracting with the federal government, securing Arnold N. Gordon Bray. Whereas retired Brigadier General Arnold N. Gordon Bray has stated he did not personally write, read, or sign the Department of the Army Form 638 recommending Representative Corey Mills for a Bronze Star. Whereas 5 people who served with Representative Corey Mills, including 2 men who were reported as having been personally saved.
I mean, he faked some medals. That should be pretty easy to figure out, right? If that's true or not.
Stacey Plaskett narrowly avoiding being censured by her House colleagues. This after revelations she texted with Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 hearing where Michael Cohen was testifying. Democratic
That's an Epstein homie right there, everybody.
They want to arraign her on some charges based on a newspaper article that she did something lawful. However ill-advised it may have been, she took a phone call from one of her constituents. They want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone
Their argument is Jeffrey Epstein was just a constituent. Oh my God.
Call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing.
House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer joining us now. Congressman, your reaction to all this?
Well, I've said many times, Jamie Raskin's full of crap. He's the definition of congressional hypocrisy. Can you imagine if that were Donald Trump or me or some Republican that Raskin doesn't like that was texting with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted...
They're all trying to, like, you know, throw the book at Trump and bash him and everything over Epstein just talking about Trump, not even to Trump. And this chick was literally texting back and forth during congressional meetings with Epstein and then regurgitating his point of view in the congressional meeting, like literally saying what he had to, like, you know. So she was basically a representative of Epstein. So I guess in that sense, it was her constituent. Like, come on, man.
Sex offender who the Democrats have now become obsessed over because they hope and pray that he has something to do with Donald Trump. If we were texting with him during a committee hearing, I mean, it's preposterous.
Yeah, you'd never hear the end of it.
Jamie Raskin appointed Stacey Plaskett to be on the impeachment, to be an impeachment manager of Donald Trump. And here we find out she was communicating with Jeffrey Epstein in a plot to take down Donald Trump. So for Jamie Raskin to try to defend that on the House floor in front of America is par for the course for Jamie Raskin, but it's the definition of hypocrisy.
And Mr. Chairman, you were part of that committee when all of this is going on. Delegate Plaskett yesterday defending herself, saying this. Listen.
Now, I heard recently from someone that I was taking advice from him. Let me tell you something. I don't need to get advice on how to question anybody from any individual. I have been a lawyer for 30 years.
Then why in the messages did you literally regurgitate what Epstein gave you for the talking points? You even asked him to make sure the acronym was correct before she used it. Jesus.
30 years.
There she is defending herself, Congressman. Is that satisfactory to you?
I mean, again, can you imagine what she would be saying if Donald Trump was communicating with Jeffrey Epstein, trying to answer a question from Stacey Plaskett? I mean, the hypocrisy is in full display here. For the Democrats to go all in over the last month over release the files, I think one reason they were demanding we release the files is they didn't think that President Trump would release the files or that I would subpoena the estate files. What we know about Plaskett and Hakeem Jeffries came from my subpoena.
Yeah, the Hakeem Jeffries stuff too.
And
is
again,
crazy.
the Democrats were demanding that I would do that months ago because they didn't think I would. No one knew what was going to be in the documents, and when we get the documents, lo and behold, there's a bunch of liability for Democrats, and I'm glad that the hypocrisy's on full display, and I don't think those answers are satisfactory.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I want to get to Minority Leader Jeffries in just a second, but specifically with the Plaskett thing, do you see a mixed message here that Democrats have been demanding for accountability, but when it came to holding one of their own accountable, then all of a sudden they had a lack of interest?
Exactly. And look, you know, there's a major player whose name kept popping up in all this new document batch from the Epstein estate, and that's Bill Clinton. But the Democrats haven't said a peep about hearing from Bill Clinton. Remember, you've got two former presidents that, by all accounts, had you know, acquaintances and relationships with Epstein and Maxwell. Now, there's no evidence that shows either one of them has done anything wrong, but the Democrats are obsessed about Donald Trump. He's answered hundreds of questions from reporters about his relationship
Trump
with
derangement syndrome is real, people. TDS
so
is
we're
real.
trying to bring Bill Clinton in now, and the Democrats aren't doing a thing.
Like, I was thinking about this the other night. Like, it's got to be a new phenomenon where people get this like delusional obsession over people based on modern media and social media. Because you see it in a lot of stuff. You see the Trump derangement syndrome. I feel like a lot of people are kind of getting like Jew derangement syndrome right now, where everything's the Jews' fault, and they're finding all these links and stuff. Which, I mean, like, granted, hey, Israel has Mossad, which is a crazy, like, you know, intel organization, and there is a lot of Jewish donors that push influence, like Soros and stuff like that, but I personally don't think it goes that deep. It's where they're pretty much responsible for everything bad in the world at any time. You know, your neighbor kicks his dog, it's because, you know, a Jew on the phone made him mad. That seems to be how some people feel. And kind of the same thing for Trump, and you see this with other political figures too. I mean, Charlie Kirk and other stuff like that. So it almost seems like we need a new medical classification for this stuff, because it's real. And the delusion that the Democrats, and obviously not like the senators and stuff, because they know exactly what they're doing, but like Democratic voters, the delusion that they have around the Epstein files is just mind-blowing. Like, literally, they were in charge for 4 of the last 5 years. Like, you know what I mean? If I had a book of secrets that, you know, doomed my enemies for 4 years, and then they took charge, and a year into them taking charge, I'm going to stand there and say, he won't release that book of secrets because it dooms him. It's like, well, why wouldn't you have released it if it dooms him? Like, if Trump did horrible things, if Republicans did horrible, like, why didn't you release it? I think the reason they didn't release it is kind of what he was saying, because I think, you know, it implicates a lot of Democrats more than anything, but not necessarily in anything illegal, just in, you know, the cohorts and the circles of Jeffrey Epstein and that political money influence. And I don't think they thought Trump would release it because, you know, Trump is talked about a lot in it, and he doesn't want that mudslinged back at him. And so I think he's kind of calling their bluff and saying, fine, we'll put it out there, see how the people feel. But then even when this stuff is coming out, and you got the senator, you know, Stacey Plaskett, who literally reading her phone and reading Jeffrey Epstein's questions off in a Senate hearing, and she doesn't get censured, and everybody, like, I'll play the CNN video next where she's defending herself on CNN. Like, it's derangement. Like, there literally needs to be a new psychological classification for it.
To help us, they just want to attack Trump. I don't believe they care about justice for the victims, their number one priority is to try to hope and pray that there's something damaging about Donald Trump in there.
And we'll see if the former President Clinton decides to sit down for a deposition. But quickly, you did mention Hakeem Jeffries, and your investigation has uncovered a number of emails, one of which appears to suggest that Hakeem Jeffries' campaign was inviting Epstein to a fundraiser. Explain.
Yeah, that was one of the text messages that
Well, that's
we
what I mean.
found in the
Don't look good for
23,000 pages of document that we released to the public. Hakeem Jeffries' campaign was soliciting donations from Epstein. They called Hakeem Jeffries the Barack of Brooklyn, and that Hakeem Jeffries could have a private meeting with Epstein if Epstein wanted, but they really wanted his full financial support. Now, again, can you imagine if there were a Republican that were, soliciting money from Jeffrey Epstein at a time when he'd already been convicted as being a sex offender? There would be massive outrage. But instead, with Hakeem Jeffries, is like what we're seeing with Stacey Plaskett. The Democrats are defending him. They will defend the indefensible, but go all in on Donald Trump. And again, everything that was disclosed about Trump, the mainstream media tried to make it a big deal. It was nothing that hadn't already been out there, nothing that President Trump hasn't already explained dozens of times to the American people and the national public. This is new information.
It's somehow new.
And the Democrats, they don't even want to inquire about it. They just want to say nothing's wrong here. This is a completely normal text exchange between a convicted sex offender and a member of Congress trying to embarrass the President of the United States. There's nothing wrong with Hakeem Jeffries asking Epstein for money, but the Republicans should pay the price because they're not doing enough to seek justice for Epstein. We're going to continue to investigate this, the atrocities of Epstein and Maxwell, and we're going to continue to give the American people full transparency. That's what the Oversight Committee is doing, despite the Democrats' effort to score political points by embarrassing Trump.
Well, the American people want transparency, Mr. Chairman. As you continue to investigate, we hope you will continue to come back here and share the very latest with us.
That's wild. Let's see.
And so I'm just looking forward. I'm moving forward. I believe that Jeffrey Epstein had information, and I was going to get information to get at the truth. Having a friendship with him is not something that I would deem to have. And so I'm just looking forward. I'm moving forward. And I think
how many constituents have her personal cell phone number and she responds during a congressional meeting?
If individuals are not involved in illegal activity, extending his criminal enterprise or his financial enterprise or all of those things, I think that we need to look at what people are doing moving forward.
Wait, let me just better understand that. What is that point? Because at the time he was a known sex offender and it had been detailed all the sexual abuse.
There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes, and as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can. I believe that Jeffrey Epstein had information, and I was going to get information to get at the truth. Having a friendship with him is not something that I would deem to have.
Unbelievable.
Heinous acts. So why, as a Democratic leader, why are you okay with that?
I expressed my position on the floor yesterday. My statement speaks for itself. In a bipartisan way, the resolution that was introduced targeting Stacey Plaskett was defeated. And it was defeated for several reasons, including the fact that it was a dramatic overreach related to throwing her off her committees.
But what about
Democrats?
her actions?
If you're going to ask a question, you got to let me answer. Democrats and Republicans defeated the censure. Stacey Plaskett has made clear her position as it relates.
Yeah, they defeated the censure by making backroom deals.
And her words speak for itself.
She said, "Quick, I'm next.
Thanks.
I'm up next."
Thank you, leader. Now, following up.
Quick, I'm next. I need a response, Jeff. Come on, best bud, Jeff. Oh. It's just crazy. Public isn't buying in. Nicholas Walsh on Pam Bondi promising transparency.
Unanimous support from Congress. All that's left is Donald Trump's signature. Once the bill is signed, Team Trump will be stuck in a trap largely of their own making. The administration could have fulfilled a campaign pledge and released all the files months ago. Remember this?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
But now,
see, here's the thing. Like, their big mistake was just like the way they handled this from a PR standpoint was dumb. Like, they were all excited to get the files, release the files. Bondi got the files. They all dug through them, started doing redactions and stuff. And then they're like, oh, well, there's nothing really here. Like, this is what I think happened. There's none really here. Nobody's gonna, there's no one we can press charges for, whatnot. There's just a bunch of, different people communicating with him and different talks about different political things. So it's just going to lead to a bunch of speculation and mud throwing and stuff. So there's nothing really to release. And then somebody had the bright idea of like, well, we can't deliver nothing. So like, let's repackage some stuff and act like we're releasing something and blah, blah, blah. And they tried to spin it. And then when people didn't buy the spin, they finally said the truth, which is just like, well, there's nothing there really of substance. And then now people aren't buying it. So now they're going to release it and we're going to see that there's nothing really of substance. And it's just going to be stuff that, people could use to, throw dirt at one another, but nothing really that could be prosecutable. So like, that's what I think is going to happen, but they handled it so poorly. They should just came out from the beginning and said, hey, we wanted to release the Epstein files. We wanted to hold these people accountable. All the files we've gotten, there's not really any evidence. There's nothing that shows. It's just a bunch of correspondence and stuff with Epstein, but none of it's talking about that stuff. It's just talking about other, mundane things or stuff. So, we want to put him out, but these aren't really beneficial to anybody because, people don't need to know who he got his dog walked by or what senators he was talking to or stuff like that, because all that's going to do is cause, people to get thrown under the bus when they might have had nothing to do with his interaction, because he was a big famous money manager financier in New York and he rubbed shoulders with most people in there and had their contacts and stuff. The moment we get anything damning, we'll release it to the public, or if we find anything damning that actually exposes somebody on either side, we'll put it out there. But that obviously isn't what they said, and now it's just a big cluster F.
After months of stonewalling, the Trump administration is bound by law, a law just passed by Congress to release all of the Epstein files. And frankly, the world is watching to see if there's any chance they comply. Here's what Attorney General Pam Bondi had to say when she was asked if the investigation Trump ordered into Democrats will be an excuse to stop the release.
On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
Following the law and maximum transparency when it comes to the Epstein files, public isn't buying it. Those are two things this Department of Justice is not known for, even among Republicans. Again, if Pam Bondi wanted transparency when it comes to the Epstein material, she could have released the files instead of publishing an unsigned memo that said she wasn't gonna, that sought to sweep the whole thing under the rug. Comments like her comments today, though, are part of a pattern.
They probably should have anticipated this and just put all these emails and all the other crap out.
Back in July to the shifting.
Like the Democrats are just chopping at the bit because they didn't put them out right away. Even if there's nothing damning, even if it causes unnecessary mudslinging and carnage, they should have just put them out, done it, because people are going to be pissed either way. Oh, all right, guys. Well, I'm getting hungry, so I think I'm going to call it there. Yeah. interesting stuff going on in the news today. We'll see how this all develops with the Epstein files and see if they actually start releasing some stuff. I don't know. It looks like they're going to, but will there be anything of substance? I think I kind of doubt it. But otherwise, guys, have a great day. Keep praying. We'll see you next time.